Viewers, you're welcome to Prime Hour on My Media Prime. This evening we are going to be looking at the Southern Cameroon's leadership retreat that took place out there in Toronto from October the 29th to November 1st. We have seen what information has been circulating on social media amongst other media outlets on what actually transpired out there in Toronto. The meeting ended and we have the press release from the persons, and then there is what is called the Toronto statement. We are going to be looking at it, but before we get into the Toronto statement, we are going to be analyzing the reactions from different stakeholders involved in the crisis rocking the conflict-stricken Southwest and Northwest regions and Cameroon as a whole. We are discussing these lessons from the Toronto retreat with Dr. Ako John Ako. He is a lecturer across universities in Cameroon. We're glad to have you, Dr.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine. Once more, talking again about Cameroon and issues affecting the nation, particularly when it comes to southern Cameroon, which we are highly touched. A lot of civilians, thousands, if not million, driven from their homes, others assassinated, kidnapped and killed. It is really sad, and I believe the CDN movement, as I've said, needs our energy in one way or the other, if we can join forces to seek for lasting peace in the two regions of the Northwest and the Southwest.
Also in the studio with us live is Paddy Asanga. He's not going to be participating through Skype from Germany. He's in the studio here with us. He is a militant of the Social Democratic Front and an activist who is a core proponent of One Cameroon. We're glad to have you live with us, Paddy.
Yes, Mr. Leo, I want to shake hands with your panelists. I am unconventional.
Can we have your push shot, please?
Yes. And I'm very happy to be here. What I'm doing here is very symbolic because I'm one of those people who don't believe in slogans.
Okay.
Saying that I will fight to the last man standing, but I'm afraid of going to jail. That's why I'm here. So, Mr. Liu,
yes,
I want to congratulate, first of all, your media house, the voice that you have given to the Anglophone, because I've seen people of all shades of opinion come to your platform and air out their opinion, something that the Anglophones did not have up to now. And you have done a marvelous job on social media now. You are in every household and we encourage people to come and watch what you people are doing. And you are one of those people who gave me the voice that I have. So I am happy to be here live with you. I was sometime after the Grand National that I was also here when people did not believe in you. But people are calling and begging that they want to be part of your platform because they need to be viewed. So the CDN was a very good initiative. And but there is something that I have to make. I don't want to criticize it. It's a copycat of the Anglophone General Conference.
Okay.
And you want to understand that you had members of the College of Conveners of the Anglophone Conference who were there. Reverend Fominki, Agbobala, who's one Cameroon federalist like myself. And when they invited me to go there, what do I have to go and say in Canada that I don't know? I have to come and tell the people back home what has been happening in the diaspora. So that's why I am here on your platform and in every media house that will invite me to tell our people exactly the scam that has been cooked up by political scavengers sitting in the diaspora and doing...
We are coming.
No. Leo, let me talk.
But the discussions have not started now.
I want to plan the decoration so that you people should know what is happening. Because what Bala is telling the people is the reality on the ground, and I'm telling you the reality in the diaspora. Okay. Thank you.
We are also in the company of Ndimancho Emmanuel, a very active member of the civil society. We're glad to have you, Ndimancho.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. It's a pleasure to be on your platform once more, and greetings to those watching us from all the angles of the world, because I think even in the White House we're being watched. So I hope this night we have all been longing for any act that could pave the way for peace. And of course, if people have been able to start thinking explain what I say, start thinking later in the later part of the program. I think our energies, our prayers, and every little effort that can make the people of Norwest and Southwest see peace, it should be applauded.
Okay. We also are in the company of Dr. Michael Ndimancho, lecturer with some universities across Cameroon. We're glad to have you also with us this evening.
It's a pleasure, Mr. Kum. I think at this particular point in time, we have to really put down the temperature, especially at the level of rhetorics.
Okay.
And I'm happy that Paddy is here. That is that temperature of staying and sitting over there in comfortable rooms and talking, that we don't need it any longer. That you have to come on the ground and see what is happening. Exactly. And that it is the act that is important now, no more talking. Yes. We have talked for 5 years, and I think that we have run out of breath, and it is the time we start walking the talks. It is very, very important. And I'm happy with those initiatives that are being taken. When people take initiatives, it means that they are mindful that things have to happen. So, I mean, every little effort is important as far as this crisis is concerned, be the CDN as we are going to be talking about. And just to say that I was very happy when I checked on their website, and when they talk about major stakeholders, paneling with the media, it was my Media Prime that I saw the logo very high and very, very glaring on their website. I'm so happy that they recognize that the Media Prime is actually the voice of this crisis, and that it has actually uncovered a lot of things that some media houses are trying to actually cover, to hide. So I'm so happy, Mr. Liu, and congratulations once more.
Thank you very much, Doctor. We also are in the company of Carlson Ayaba, who is going to be participating on this edition of the program like he did yesterday from Yaoundé on Skype. Good evening, Carlson, and welcome. The Jacobine man is with us here in the studio.
Yes, special greetings to Mr. Paddy, Asanga, the Jacobine system, alias McFish. It's an honor once more to be as a panelist here. My Major Prime, Mr. Alia, must comment that your station has really gone far, because when I see some members of the Amber faction trying to bar or trying to spoil your name as a bad journalist, all of us know you are a journalist for peace, then that actually confirms that you are doing the right work in informing the population about what is happening on ground, not some people who are sitting in diaspora and taking radical decisions. You are here as the director of my Major Prime to inform the public. Special greetings to all our televiewers watching us from all angles of this world, and I believe that this topic today is going to show us how we Anglophones need peace, and how peace is important as a process for us to restore calm in these two regions.
Okay, now we'll start with you, Dr. Ako John Ako. We are looking at the lessons learned from the CDN Canada retreat, a retreat that took place precisely in Toronto. A retreat that saw delegates representing more than 3 key Southern Cameroonian frontline and civil society organizations, and first take on it.
Yeah, the first take I may talk about the CDN is the courage to gather Southern Cameroonians, and within the platform, a host, hundreds were invited to attend that particular sermon, and which we call a retreat. And I want again to say that the failure of the All Anglophone Conference that could not be organized in Boya because of egoistic tendency and the CPDM manipulation of its machines equally saw the light in the form of a CDN convey retreat in Toronto. And I would believe very strongly that it's something I've been crying, that somewhere people might be talking of the Swiss stock. Nobody is walking out of the Swiss stock. Nobody is doing something against the Swiss stock. Nobody has fought against the Ghanaian informed mediation. We as Southern Cameroonians need a common ground, first of all, to come together and fight as one person. Remember, one of the other issues that walloped and delayed and is still delaying is that the Cameroon government is asking the Swiss government, who are we to talk to? Who are we to talk to? Because today Southern Cameroonians called or have more than 100 different factions that have not been capable of having a core representative. They have not come into a consensus and have been wishing to see that there is a need for Southern Cameroonians, the people in the northwest and the southwest regions, to have a common front. If not up to 100%, but at least a common consensus of all the stakeholders, I mean all, that we need to negotiate in a future sitting. Remember, I was again happy that in the course of the evolution of the discussions in Toronto, it was not called negotiation. There is CDN, is quite another group, but then it was called a retreat. Yes, we have to understand the concept behind a retreat. What is a retreat? A retreat simply means that we are going under a situation and there is a need to seek a way of solving that problem. And when you get into it, you realize that the CDN meeting retreat in Toronto had within its agenda to gather Southern Cameroonians for a future dialogue. When people have equally think and been fighting that there is no dialogue out of the Swiss dialogue. And I will insist that the retreat in Toronto was not a dialogue. It's simply Southern Cameroonians talking within themselves and thinking how they can quell their various differences and prepare in future negotiations. And that future negotiation, to which others believe might not still be Swiss, might not still be Ghana, it might be a new venue or another mediator that may come up. Remember, there was a British representative, there were the Canadians representative, and equally a number of NGOs, the Swiss representatives were present. So this is not a dialogue. I mean, it is a pre-negotiation which is among Southern Cameroonians to give the Swiss delegation, to give the British representative that time is now and that Southern Cameroonians are ready to talk. I believe it's a positive step in the right direction, which we must give our energy and support such a movement whatsoever to bring lasting peace in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon.
Okay, Paddy, Asanga, your appreciation of what took place in Toronto.
First of all, Leo, I want to congratulate those who initiated those discussions in Toronto, because some of them also are people who advocated for the initiative that was put in place by Christian Cardinal Toomey, and you know my relationships with Christian Cardinal Toomey and the All Anglophone General Conference. And I'm also going to say this, some of those people who have capitulated and found themselves in Canada were those people who were against the Anglophone General Conference, vilified and wrote out filthy things about the Cardinal, calling him sellout, calling him. Some of them and their representatives of their organization were also there. But it is because it was not them that they sabotaged the initiative of the. But we are saying that, let it be clear to every Anglophones that what Cardinal Toomey put in place, you people who are sitting here, you have to convene yourself, and the government should give you the necessary means to convene somewhere and decide also what you want. Because Mr. John Ako, the problems you have in Manu, we don't have it in Bamenda. The problems you have in Guzang, we don't have it in Buea. That's why ghost towns are not everywhere. Every community should sit and come out with a memorandum. Somebody will not sit in Canada or in America with an American passport. They brag that America, they are Americans, they are Germans, they are this. I am here in Cameroon, I'm in Cameroon and I'm proud to be. And I stand for one Cameroon. I've said it all. I'm speaking here on behalf of one Cameroon. Anybody who thinks that he has a stake in Cameroon should come into this country. If not, stay where you are. Bala has been here. What did they do to Bala? Vilified him, desecrated his father's grave, burnt their family compound, and today said that his head should be cut, and today they are talking to him. That is capitulation. You journalists should do your work. Call this as it is. And I'm not saying because I'm seeking for any position, but I'm saying it because this thing pains me. My chairman was kidnapped. One of my mentors was kidnapped. One of my mentors, Dr. Monzo, I have guns. Bala, people like Bala, I can play it here. You know how I operate. I work with my archives. No. I will not do it. I know your editorial line. And they say, I will cut their heads and hang them on sticks. And today they are talking to Bala. What is that? Call it the way it is, you journalists. Do your work. Be courageous enough.
Paddy, we need to, it's a retreat. In a retreat, we rethink and we reconsider position.
I'm not in church. I'm not in church. Forgiveness to me at this point in time is a pulpit word. People should learn that never again should people sit in the diaspora and use other people's children as political guinea pigs. It should never happen. You go and kidnap the phone of Saul. You kidnap the cardinal and accelerate his death. And you think that I should come and clap to you, say you have retreated. Retreated what?
Paddy Asanga, should we not rather be talking about peace now?
We should be talking about peace. Is it the first time that we have been talking about peace? I'm saying that there shall be no peace without justice, and justice for the victims. I want to believe with you that the parents of the relatives of Florence Ayafo should be in Canada talking on behalf of Florence Ayafo. Those 33 that were killed in Bui. The parents of the family of the chiefs in the BLM, they should be there. You know who said that the responsibility of those who killed those people. So they should be there. And if there is no way that they can be there, then they have to talk to themselves here and decide if they will they are going to forgive those people who manipulated. You listened last week. Tapang Ivo told you that Sarko's group is a terrorist and they were the people who killed people in Kumba. Is it Paddy Asanga who said it that you are talking about peace? He told you people that anybody who is fighting under Sarko's terrorist group should leave. Okay. So when you people say those things, you have to represent yourself. They have met those who had the means. I was invited to go to Canada. My visa is here in my passport. I refused to go. I chose to come home. Bala went there. Bala will tell them the truth. Okay. We are children of the cardinal, so you people represent yourself. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, your first take when you heard that some persons were meeting in Toronto. They say delegates representing more than 30 key Southern Cameroonian frontline and civil society organizations. You felt that that was the right move to take?
Mr. Liu, I think it was a right move to take.
Okay.
But before I come to that, you know, we are at a time when we are supposed to talk peace. I don't really agree with Paddy when he wants peace through force, because no peace can come through force. When you want peace, when they want to end a war, when they want to end a war,
those Paddy have it gone.
When they want to end a war, they stop counting corpses. Because if every family has to go back counting corpses, the anger will keep flaring. At this time, I think I am not cajoling anybody to use words of appeasement, but by logic, to maintain peace and bring back a people who have been apart for a very long time, we need to shape our language. We don't need to, because of other, maybe our personal emotion. So tell them to
shape their language. When we're begging them and telling them that we should not go that route, I did not hear you say what you're saying now. Tell them to shape their language. I'm not in charge. I'm telling you people that I'm not in charge.
Paddy, let him talk here.
And I'm not a preach, so I'm not preaching to you, Mr. Paddy.
God, yes.
So what I'm saying, you asked a question. You see, when I heard of that idea, I took note of the letters of that idea. The first one is C, which stands for coalition, which means that all the factions had decided to come together to co-ally. Second one was dialogue, that is D. And the third one was negotiation, which means that they have carved it out in a way that they will have to come together. After agreement, they will dialogue within themselves. If they had successfully agreed to dialogue within themselves, then they will go now to negotiation. We should not be very fast and quick to appreciate to the extreme or to condemn to the extreme, because even those who were there, I am not very sure that all of them are having the same agenda in their mind. But then, everybody, be it a child and a middle-aged man or an extreme-aged man, should appreciate the fact that for the first time, these people came together. But Mr. Liu, you know, this Anglophone problem, just give me 1 minute.
Do you know that people who initiated that thing are pacifists?
and these are the same people that some of them put their heads and they were ransom on their head.
Please.
No, please.
No.
When
I'm
we want
coming
to
back
say
to you,
something-
Paddy.
No. When we want to say something, let's be honest.
Paddy,
No.
let him finish. You are going to come in.
No, don't call me on your platform and you come to make me to say things that he is living here. Those who initiated this coalition for dialogue of peace are people whose head at ransom. They can be romancing them, but I am who I am.
Okay, yes, go on. Paddy.
Thank you for ending. You see, what I'm saying is that there is a problem to the people called Anglophone more than what the ear hears and more than what the eye sees. Let me take you back to 1961, where the Anglophone separation within the Anglophones came from. If Foncha and Indeli could not agree, that was the beginning of the disintegration of the Anglophone community, and it is affecting us right today. You understand that from Achirimbi of Bafut made it clear that we needed to have a rethink of where we are going to, because we might be running from water to go to the fire. And because of this misagreement between, just within them, the Anglophones, we find ourselves where we are today. So I want to clearly say it, Mr. Liu, that the problem here is us, the Anglophones. Because from the genesis of this crisis, I know of a Churuma who castigated Anglophones. And to be honest with you, he's the only minister who came out in the open and apologized that he castigated a people without knowing actually the weight of what was happening. How many Anglophone dishonest elites have come out to apologize? That even though we said from the beginning that there was no Anglophone problem, they have never come out to apologize. So my fear about this initiative, Mr. Leo, is that the failure will come from the Anglophone elites. Yeah. Notably those who are of the CDN clan, because I've already started reading some of them on Facebook, castigating the initiative, asking who mandated you people to be the representative of the people in Canada, whereas they are sitting and hiding in Cameroon. So it could be a good initiative, but if not well catered for, you'll discover that at the end, only these very Anglophone elites will spoil the whole show.
Okay. Your reaction, have you had time to talk with some of those who took part in what transpired out there in Toronto?
Yes, at least I had a single opportunity to talk with a friend who lives in Canada, and of course he happened to have attended the meeting. And we chatted over it, and well, the impression he gave me was the conviviality which brothers and sisters they met in Canada. And then that zeal, you know, that eagerness that they have for peace to return in Cameroon. And my first impression about the CDN was actually that since 2016, we have been asking questions. Isn't anybody caring about what is happening in Cameroon? Can't anything be done about what is happening in Cameroon? Are we ignorant or nonchalant about what is happening, and don't we want to take active part in solving this crisis? And when we start seeing initiatives like that which the Cardinal Paddy mentioned, the initiative of the Cardinal, all of us were happy. I remember I was one of the first people who went online and filled that questionnaire. I was with excitement, with that zest, knowing that the solution was coming from somewhere. No matter wherever it was coming, I knew that it was a solution that was coming. Even some people look at the Cardinal as a devil, but I knew that it was a devil that was bringing a solution to the Anglophone crisis, and I was happy. Other avenues have come up, and then the CDN is just one of those other avenues. And mind you, this is not the last that is going to come on. Let us be very, very mindful. But what I have to say is that wherever it is coming and when it is coming, we who are thirsty for peace to return to the Anglophone region, we have to appreciate. That's the first thing that we have to do. When you appreciate, then you take your lenses and then you look carefully and see where it is coming from. Because let us be very careful, because we have killed lofty ideas before they are even born. And how do we kill them? The first question we ask is, where is it coming from? Who is bringing this idea? And that is where we start killing the idea. Without actually putting it on the scanner, x-raying it, and seeing exactly what outer fruit it is going to bear. And I think that we need to be very, very careful. The fact that people gathered, you know, the CDN, I followed them last year. They had their first virtual conference in November 2020. And I was marveled about, they had about 4,000 participants in the virtual conference. And I said, hey, so it means that people are actually hungry to see peace return in Cameroon. Well, most of them may be playing their own games, or maybe trying to actually come out from the deals that they have had. But I think
of the CDN, I know I was invited to go to Canada and I refused. The core of the CDN is good. Okay,
that is right. That is what we are saying, and that's what I'm saying. That we should accept these avenues. Let us accept. Many others will come, as I've said. But I think that the first thing, because when you want to criticize something, look at the core of it. I read before, during, and then after. After means the resolution that they took. And I have seen that kind of a strategy that they want to use, which is good. We need it. Because in most of their points, their resolution they took, it touched on issue of international partnership and international pressure on Cameroon. Mind you that, Paddy, we who are in Cameroon, you know that we are playing now like rats.
Please lead yourself. Lead yourself. Don't tell me anything.
No, I just want to tell you.
Yourself. You are a leader. Lead yourself.
We are.
Yes, that's why are the leaders on the ground. Lead yourself. Don't count on people like us. But some of us are killing our category.
Don't kill my point. Don't kill my point before I make it. Don't kill my point before I make it. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. That we kill ideas before they are born. You have not heard me. What I'm saying that we in Cameroon, we are doing our own CDN, and we have been doing it.
You need your own CDN.
Of course. Of course. And our own CDN, how are we going to lead it? Lead it starting from their own village, from their nucleus, and come up. And that is what many of us are trying to do.
Thank you.
We have been doing that.
Thank you, bro.
And before long, you are going to hear from us.
No, I'm happy about that.
Never mind that. So what I'm saying that, but you should know that we who are here, we play like rats. We bite and we blew. You need to use strategies.
No, I'm happy.
You need to use real strategies. Because we are dealing with a Jacobin system.
Yes.
Then you really need to be very, very careful the way you go about it.
No, lead yourself.
Of course. Do you know that just by the fact that we come over on my media prime and we talk each time, it's already something.
You don't need to tell me that. So I know the pressure that you people have sometimes when you invite people like us who come and call names here saying that they are Jacobin system and that they are taking injunctions from France.
What I'm saying
is, we also know that people are negotiating with France. I was in France a few months ago.
Okay, exactly, Paddy. So what I'm saying is, let us be very, very careful. You know, I want to let people know that it is not everybody who is going to come on board when an initiative is born. It is clear. Some people were absent from that initiative. They were absent for one reason or another. Some in good faith, some in bad faith, some because they know what they have done and they want this war to continue because they know what they are reaping from. But let me tell you, there is a force, and there's the force of the truth, that when that force is on the table, nobody, and I mean, whatever gun you use, even you use, I mean, Kanashikov or whatever you call it, you will never kill that truth.
No,
or even Odeshi that they are using over there, you will never kill it, unfortunately. So what we are saying is that we are encouraging what happened. My first impression is that I want to encourage those who took the initiative in Canada and came together to be able to discuss. Dr. Ako already talked about a retreat. What is a retreat? The retreat touches much more on spirituality. That maybe you walked the line and at one moment you feel that there are a lot of things you didn't do right. You sit back to think about the footstep that you took. Was there a way in which I wronged God? I mean, you want to reconcile. You know, it's a point of reconciliation. And I think that these guys came together to reconcile with their different views that they have. And you know, there are going to be a lot of testimonies from people who have committed untold acts in this crisis. And it is only when they come together in this retreat that they are going to brainstorm, and then they are going to, they may not be able to have an 100% one point of view. But let me tell you, there is always an upper point, which is the truth.
Okay. Carlson Ayaba. Can we understand it is a retreat that was called for the Southern Cameroon's leadership? Can we understand the division that arose after it was announced that some persons were going to meet in Toronto within Anglophones?
Yeah. I think we can understand the division that arose, because why? How do you have to understand it? One of the fuels to this crisis, which I know from the beginning, has been the internal rift between people from the. There has been two rifts. There has been rifts between people from the southwest and northwest, and there has been rifts between people who control the various factions that operate on ground zero. Now, how have we seen this happen? We have seen some Westerners curse non-Westerners for not wanting peace. We have seen where there have been battles over social media and on the ground over who controls ground zero. We have seen cases where this particular group will declare lockdown and this other group will say, no, this lockdown is not valid. This other group will declare this other group will refuse. This shows that there has been infighting, and this infighting has fueled this crisis to levels which we cannot imagine. That's why when the CDN was called, or within the meeting, we have been seeing people blasting it or lambasting it and calling it nonsense. But at the end of the day, Mr. Leo, there remains one very big, important question. Who is the person suffering? Is it those people who are sitting in the diaspora, those other people sitting in the diaspora and insulting all peace initiatives? No, those guys are living their lives to the fullest. They don't experience daily kidnappings. Their movement is free. Their lives are not threatened. Their kids are going to school. They can drink whatever. They can eat whatever. They go to work. They even experience one of the most fundamental basic rights, which is freedom of speech. But here, they are restricting people from expressing their own freedoms. So it is not them suffering. Is it also those who are in Yaoundé, ministers, governors driving big cars who are suffering? Definitely not. So who are those who are suffering? It is a common man. It is a common woman in womb. It is a common woman in Bamesing, Fundong, Domgi, Oshe, Baba 2, Baba 1. So it is imperative at this point that whatever will bring peace, everybody must fall on board. I will quote one message which Mr. Ndiwum said, I think last week or 2 weeks ago. It was a very good message. He said, if the Cameroon government can pay billions of francs for peace to come, then he will support that movement. So in reality, whatever will bring peace to the northwest and southwest region, everybody must be on board. It has to proceed. Whether it is the Swiss talks or it is the CDN that will be the peace initiative, it is welcome. It's not a point to be interested in who mandated who to talk for who, because at the end of the day, those who are suffering are really suffering. They are down there suffering. So even if it is a madman who will leave the middle of the road to come and bring peace, it must come. Peace must not come from a particular angle. It comes from somebody who initiates it and pursues it. If you look, even in the Bible, Moses was raised by the Egyptians. But he was the one who turned against the Egyptians to bring peace to the Israelites. So why is this CDN very important, and why should everybody fall on board? Because all those who are cursing the CDN, it's already been clear. It's exposing that we know those who don't want peace in the southwest and northwest region. So why is this CDN very important? Mr. Lou, we have seen this is not the first peace initiative group that has come up. We had the major national dialogue. We had all women conferences and others. But what has been lacking in all this was the inclusiveness to see those members in the warring factions participate. That is where I particularly commend the CDN, because we have seen the combination or the come together of members of the warring factions, where Anglophones have sat amongst themselves for 4 days and they have been to look for eyeball to eyeball and talk. Now, moreover, the major national dialogue and the women conferences were about addressing the government. Meanwhile, the CDN is about Anglophones talking within themselves, not addressing the government, talking within themselves, communicating within themselves, which is very important, because right now the union between Anglophones is very rotten. If I stand here today on TV and I say something against the separatists, my own Anglophone brother will call me a black leg, who want to come and attack me or my family. But if a Francophone says the very thing, they will call the Francophone a colonialist, an enabler, an occupier. So you begin to see that what is happening between Anglophones, the union between us Anglophones, is very, very rotten. So which brings us to know those who are counteracting the CDN. These are people who do not want peace in Cameroon. One thing we should also know about the CDN is it will not be the first peace initiative, neither will it be the last. And it is not also the dialogue table. It's not also the dialogue table that is going to resolve the Anglophone crisis. It is not the CDN that caused the Anglophone crisis. So I cannot expect the CDN to be able to solve the Anglophone crisis. But the CDN is important for it to set Anglophones to be able to sit and discuss what are the issues that affect the common Anglophone population. It is not about what affects the IG, it is not what affects the governing council, what affects the youth council, or what. It is what affects the Anglophone, and we know the problems which the Anglophone man has been facing. It has been a problem of strict marginalization. So the CDN is what is necessary for Anglophones to sit, look eyeball to eyeball and say, okay, we need this as an Anglophone population, we need this, we don't need this as an Anglophone population. So like I said, it's not the CDN that is going to end the Anglophone crisis, as many people are trying to claim that, oh, some people want to sit somewhere in the diaspora and end the Anglophone crisis. This is not the CDN that is going to end the Anglophone crisis. Rather, the CDN is what is going to make Anglophones sit eyeball to eyeball. And one lesson which we can also draw, or people should start drawing from the CDN, it was said in the diaspora, that's true, because those people, most of the people who participated in the CDN are not people on the ground. It is also important that this kind of talks start happening in we Anglophones here on ground zero need to start sitting in our little meetings and saying, okay, we have gone far from the truth, we have hurt ourselves, we have cursed and we have fought each other. Meanwhile, we had to be together in unity and fight against a common goal. So that's one of the big lessons that the CDN has to bring to us back here on ground zero, that wherever we are and whatever differences we have, now is the time to sit and start discussing. It has been 5 to 6 years. It is not easy. People cannot go back to their villages. You cannot even go to your village to bury a corpse. You cannot move freely. You cannot sell freely. There are children there who have been there for 5 years with no education. So whoever does not want the CDN to hold or any other peace initiative must be seen as a hater of Cameroon or as a hater of the people of the Southwest and Northwest region.
Okay. Dr. Ako, John Ako, I want you to also react to the division that is emanating from the holding of the retreat that was organized by the Coalition for Dialogue and Negotiation. How do we understand that some people have been fiercely opposed to this initiative?
Yeah, one of the things which we need to know is that the human mind somewhere has what we call egoistic tendencies.
Okay.
A lot of people are egoistic in the sense that if it is not coming from them, then it should not be applauded, it should not be supported. I want to equally let you know that before the CDN, there have been an ACT simply an Ambazonia conciliation group which thinks and motivates for the Swiss talk. And to the greatest of my fear is why the ACT thinks that CDN is a protagonist, thinks the CDN is a confronting force. A lot of them who are within the ACT that supports the Swiss talk and said they come together to support the Swiss talk were not in line with the CDN, thinking and still in their mind that the CDN was organized and sponsored by the government of Cameroon, and that the major actors that are present in Canada or in Toronto were from the Cameroonian government. And I asked my question if really the CDN meeting in Toronto was between Southern Cameroonians and La République du Cameroun. It did not and has nothing to do with the government of Cameroon, as it is written, and even within the resolutions which were taken and arrived at. And I encourage a lot of people within the time this particular retreat was going on. I had time to talk with members of the interim government who are equally one of the strongest force. In fact, I will tell you very strongly that one of the reasons which they gave equally was that the interim government controlled the restoration forces on the ground, and that if there is any initiative, it should be an initiative from the interim government, and that since the CDN doesn't control any force anywhere, I don't want to get into the details. I'm giving you the fact. I don't know, but Paddy, we are not security experts here.
No,
we are not security experts.
No, please.
Please, Paddy, can you permit me to get on? I'm just saying, and you will not deny it, that somewhere
the restoration forces that Japan said they are terrorists.
Forget, then there is a recognition of somebody.
That there is a recognition of terrorism on the ground.
I said they recognize it.
Yes.
They recognize
terrorism on the ground.
I said it recognized.
By Tapang,
it is recognized. Yes. What I'm telling you is that within the struggle, there is the AROF. They call them Ambazonian Restoration Forces. They are present. They are present. The government has identified that. We are not saying without. And they think that since they own the forces on the ground, they should control even the social opinion, which I have equally argued and argued strongly. In the quest and search for peace, every opinion counts. You have an arm, you have a knife. I have my legs, I have my knowledge, I have a pen, I have a book. I have my video, I have my phone. They are all instruments. They are all instruments. And I still insist that the greatest leadership is not the one that sits on glass houses. The greatest leadership is that which gets into the grassroots, that which gets down and talk to the lowly, those whom you think doesn't matter, but you have to reconcile with everybody and believe that they matter. The CDN is a force, in fact, one of the groups which equally has an initiative and has this agenda. And like we know, I am even embarrassed and bowed down by the fact that most of the people who said they control the management system could not understand that it was a retreat and that it was just an occasion for Southern Cameroonians to talk among themselves. And we start thinking, who owns what? Who owns what is not needed now. We need lasting peace. We need lasting peace. We need a comfortable environment for children to get back to school. We need every action equally that can get into a sincere, inclusive dialogue. Any initiative that intends to bring inclusive dialogue that will give lasting peace to the regions of the Northwest and the Southwest will be welcome. I have been saying that there's a need for a common Anglophone solidarity front, which I have said several times. And if CDN offers such an opportunity where we can have a solidarity movement, as the name implies, I don't think they have arms. I don't think they are fighting using weapons. It is CDN, Coalition for Dialogue and Negotiation. For dialogue and negotiation, which means any means that can put the protagonists, those who are involved in the conflict, to get into the negotiation table. That negotiation table will not be decided only by Southern Cameroonians. That negotiation table will include the government of Cameroon. And I'm telling and insisting that it was completely wrong. The conflict was not supposed to be. We needed to be present. I said men of God were present at the conference in Toronto. Then why do we think others should secede from that particular group, which is mainly talking to one brother or talking to a sister that might have been heard? In the days ahead, maybe I might not be saying it, but remember, there is going to be Justice and Reconciliation Commission, which we need. Because before any battle, before anything gets on, there is a need for Justice and Reconciliation Commission among Southern Cameroonians first. Before thinking of Justice and Reconciliation Commission for the national territory of Cameroon, think about it. And I will loudly support any initiative that would gather Southern Cameroonians. Anybody, wheresoever you are sitting, and thinks that we should continue fighting and that solution will not come, I will support every action that will bring immediate dialogue, inclusive. I was not a proponent and a supporter of the major national dialogue because of the lack of the inclusiveness in the dialogue process. And I will continue to say it was a failure, and we sincerely need that. Somewhere, I want again to come back, we should equally remember that the divergence of opinion, some people like Carlson Ayaba said that there's a division between the Northwesterners and, in fact, Southwesterners, because that statement is coming to say Southwesterners. I would like to precise that particular point, that there is no group known as Southwesterners movement against the Northwesterners. These are groups of puppets, few people that have been handpicked and paid to create the division so that there will be no consensus. And I will insist.
Doctor,
a lot of that.
No, I prefer we don't talk about that, please.
No, I'm just saying I just wanted to get a correction on what Ayaba said.
Yes, I know why to talk about that, please.
I said there is nobody. Nobody has been mandated from the Southwest region to talk against the Northwesterners. And so if individuals are making these utterances, they are doing so by their own very self, and it remains a personal opinion.
Okay. Paddy Asanga, would you want something better to come out after the meeting of what happened in Toronto?
Mr. Leo, I thank Dr. Ako. Dr. Ako is one of those people that I see as, he can represent my voice. I don't have a voice because the stakes are not, I don't have much stakes here than he does. My children are going to school. I have my Kataki salary as a social worker. It has not been interrupted. And if he goes somewhere because of what he has said here, one group or the other who that feels threatened will kidnap him. The same to Ndimancho, the same to you, the same to many people here. So I still insist. It's a good, laudable initiative. But this initiative, it's not an, it is a copycat of events. Because remember when the chairman of the Social Democratic Front was in the diaspora, he said, he wants Anglophones to come together and put some sanity That's the word he used. He said it on other media. I think he even came on your media also. He went on many other platforms and made that statement. And when the cardinal was still alive, we came here and stood behind the cardinal and gave him that courage, gave him that mandate to speak as a patriarch. But what happened? They did what they did to cardinal and accelerated his death. We should not go about. We are looking for solutions. But looking for solutions doesn't mean that we are going to sweep everything under the carpet. We have to keep an environment that nobody should ever dream to use somebody's child as a political guinea pig. I have heard people sat in the diaspora and jubilated that one X, Y, or Z was killed within the amber. But let's leave that the discussions for another day. When we are talking about the Anglophone or Southwest, Northwest, I will make it very clear here that the Anglophone is a political identity, and we left Enugu as a political group. So anybody who's coming with that filthy rhetoric saying that Northwest and Southwest, that person is a loser. I know where that rhetoric comes from. It comes from people like Musonge, Oben Peter Ashu, and all those people. You don't like to hear that, but it's okay. Please, I'll stay quiet. Yeah, but okay, but let me progress.
My media prime take exception to calling the names of persons.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. You don't take responsibility for what I've said. I'm sorry. So I'll progress. So when we go about planting the decorations, we should also understand that within the diaspora, you have seen people who belong to a certain group. Pastors, interim government. I call it internet government. Who collected $2 million, turned themselves apart, and then they are fighting themselves. There are people who belong to that pastor's interim government who were in that thing and they did not agree. I want to believe that there is the necessity for those Anglophone elites who think that if the Anglophones here at the home front sit and come out with a solution and represent themselves, they will lose their political capital that they have amassed and that they can't go to their villages. And we are going to give you that means. And if CDN is because of the aura that it has gotten, he should empower those bold individuals that you go to from Fuka, you go to Ako, you go to Manu, you go to Fako, and you collect a memoranda of the people who are there. The Association of Bike Riders, constitute yourselves as syndicates, represent yourself. The problem that we have in the diaspora, most of what I want to tell you, most of us have double nationality, and somebody wants to be an Ambazonian and a Cameroonian. I don't know that kind of configuration. That's what some of them are fighting from.
No, but Paddy, it is possible. The present world movement indicates that we cannot have a unique nationality.
No,
it should not be a problem.
I'm not against it.
Good.
I'm not against it. But you cannot do it at the expense of other people. If that debate goes in Parliament, I am a legalist. I will accept it. Good. So, but don't use people's children. Listen. When there were the presidential campaigns, I was with my son on the street. Bohabet, Chris Ano, they have children of fighting age. People, some NGOs, they are sending their children to move left and right, collecting money that they are supporting people. Why don't they send their children to go and fight? So these people who are concerned, the families of those at the hinterlands, they should come and talk from themselves, the problems that they have. The problems that they have, they are not the same problem that you have here in Douala. We are talking about marginalization. Yes, Anglophones have today two problems. There is the problem of marginalization and there is the problem of terrorism. Tapang Ivo has told you that. That Sako's group is a terrorist group. Tapang Ivo said it. It's not Paddy.
Is Tapang a terrorist?
Ask Sako if what he thinks about it. So you people should represent yourself. People have sat abroad, manipulated people's children, and they go and sit now. They are creating a breach. It is capitulation. They are talking to Bala, whose head was supposed to be cut off. It is capitulation. Capitalize also on that and constitute yourself, represent yourself. They bring their memoranda from the diaspora. You bring your memoranda from the home front, and then we sit as Anglophone, and then we synergize, move a way forward. Before we confront, remember, before this thing happened, Aya, whom I don't like, came out with AAC3. It was rubbish by people in the diaspora. I supported Aya at the time until I came to understand the game he was playing. Success Congo was there on that list. Akosen Raymond and Bazonia today was on that list. It did not end there. Dr. Monzo came with Anglophone Dialogue Forum. Who are those who rubbished it? Those of us in the diaspora and people within the government saying that Dr. Monzo was positioning himself. Cardinal Tumi came out, Anglophone General Conference, diaspora, people within the government. May he so rest in peace. I don't want to call the names because that is your editorial line, but I like it. But let me say this. We Anglophones have been a pin in our own place, and those of us who think that we have leverage, we are in our safe zones, we have self positions, we use other people's children for political gains. That thing should stop. Dr. Ako John Ako, you are my leader. He is my leader. These are those people out there. They should tell us the problems that they have, and then the government will take care of it, or we give a memoranda. And I'm happy that the memoranda will come from Dr. Fomenki, who is member of the College of Conveners of Anglophone General Conference, and also Bala, who is a federalist. So that rhetoric that they say that cut people's head, cut their fingers, chop everything, we shall sit and decide the fate of those people.
Yeah, Mr. Paddy,
very briefly,
Mr. Paddy, yes, very briefly. Mr. Paddy, one of the things which I want us to understand is that within a conflict, within the atmosphere of what we have, we cannot be considering and asking why the President of the Republic has not sent his own side of the sun to fight in the battleground. And we need to equally know that several times actors were involved in struggle. It happens with the ANC government in South Africa, that the whole government was launched in Zambia. I believe you are aware.
So you belong to the virtual government?
No, I am just trying to tell you that at times, a lot of things that had happened, even in Cuba, before a lot of people succeeded, or the wars in Angola.
What is the leverage? Who gave them that mandate?
No, please, I am just telling you that in a conflict
don't
situation,
say, you cannot
mandate,
compare
I said mandate.
You cannot compare apple and oranges.
Excuse me.
It is not the same context.
I'm just trying to get something.
The South African struggle was homogeneous.
Please.
I was just telling. I just want to get you an example that most often than not, the major actors in a struggle, you don't see them.
Okay.
It is just like we are talking.
You don't see them.
I say you don't see. I'm just that one is honest. We should not get into details.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's rhetoric.
Okay.
And I started this today by telling you that one of the highest things that had killed Southern Cameroonians or the people in the Northwest and the Southwest region is egoistic tendency.
Thank you.
We should know that a lot of individualism and people want to be those who are the champion of the race. And that is why somewhere, if there is nobody to gather, like Cardinal Tumi did, like the CDN has just done, then we'll all fight as
we all
leaders.
applaud the initiative of the CDN.
Okay.
You people at the home front, don't say your best right to people who are out there.
Asanga, please, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we continue with our discussions out here in our studios.
DSTV English Bag. Your subscription enters a new dimension.
It's so nice.
Movies, series, novellas, emotions are more deeper in English language.
That part is a little dramatic.
Enjoy La Liga from the front row and the Premier League in immersion. On Nickelodeon, English is just superpower absolute.
For the surprise, please go now.
With E and One Magic in original version. Reality TV becomes real TV. And on African News and Discovery, News and Discovery shines worldwide. Host new programs with a DSTV English Pack option of Color Plus and its 15 premium channels. Accessible as from 5,000 friends. Take advantage now.
Welcome back. You are watching Prime Hour on My Media Prime. I will continue the second segment. I'll start with you. To whom I would like to look at the women's position statement, Toronto 2021, following violent conflict that has destabilized the southern Cameroons in the past 5 years, mindful of the fact that women, peace and security agenda mandates gender equality and women's meaningful inclusion, especially within peace processes that seek to resolve violent conflicts, affirming the diversity that characterize our political affiliations that must not degenerate to hate speech, media warfare, and views on how best to address the conflicts at hand, aligning with the different calls for a personal resolution of the conflict. Considering that thousands of lives have been lost, hundreds of thousands displaced, reaffirming our stance to work collaboratively in contributing to build peace within our communities. We on these days, that is as women during the Toronto 2021 Leadership Retreat, commit as follow. You will react to their first commitment. They say, work together despite our diversity as women to be able to support and facilitate internal and external dialogue among parties in conflict to move towards a peaceful resolution of the ongoing conflict.
Yes, how I wish horses. If our wishes were horses, I would have loved that we should write on that first point. But unfortunately, but first of all, I thank them for that first resolution because that is their core. That is the point that has been delaying everything. People have not been able to come together to speak with one voice, like Ayaba said. But when you go to every forum, they will tell you that it is time that we should speak one-on-one, eyeball to eyeball, and we don't know who is taking the lead in that one-on-one and eyeball to eyeball speaking. But then, Mr. Liu, you know, I have a problem with this so-called diaspora's things. Okay. Because, you know, this problem, to me, the diaspora hijacked it. Let's think of who actually caused the problem. The Yaoundé regime caused the problem. And even if we have to go to Jupiter today and come back, we have to say that time has come for everybody to take his or her responsibility. The government of Cameroon, which is under the leadership of Mr. Biya, who has been in hiding for a very long time, we think it is almost time that the Ambazonians who were hiding in diaspora in their dispersed ranks have started coming together. It is also time for Mr. Biya to come out from his hiding, make an official statement of ceasefire, Mr. Liu, because it is time consuming. Today in Ekono Titi, we are reading from the social media that 2 elements of our defense forces went down today in the house of the Amazonia. This talking and talking has not been helping. I think if there's a wish and a call that I could make this evening to the both parties, because we should not only concentrate on one side now because something happened in Toronto. When we will concentrate that Yaoundé will continue to be in their slumber, thinking that the solution shall come from Toronto. No. It is supposed to be a two-way traffic solution-seeking adventure. If not, those women are speaking, they don't have the mechanism to put it into practice and get the immediate solution. But we have one man. If Yaoundé wants a solution, it will come. Remember that in marriage, I want to take a common example. People need to learn to know that for a successful marriage to go on and to see the couple celebrating different marriage anniversaries, you must learn to postpone divorce. It is not every problem that comes up in the house that people must just go their ways. The Ambazonians are coming to their senses. Even though I'm still very skeptical, Mr. Liu, I am one of the people Who shall see before I believe? I am not still very sure that they are all coming back to their senses, because don't be surprised that tomorrow morning the IG says that, the AGF said that, and then the problems come back. So the women are right. Their resolutions could be right, but how do we factor it into practice so that it solves the problem to stop the deaths that we're witnessing every day? That is my concern.
Okay, that's your concern. The second, their second statement by the women, they align with the Toronto 2021 outcomes as women, offer our services and expertise to assist and contribute within any peace initiative and engagement that puts humanity first to ensure the well-being of our people. Have women been sidelined for this while as far as peace efforts are concerned in Cameroon? Do we think, like they are saying, that they have a very great role to play?
Not really sidelined, but I think nobody sidelined women. I think they themselves, they sidelined themselves. And okay. This is the much we can say about the activism of women in Cameroon as far as the Anglophone crisis is concerned, and even as far as politics is concerned as a whole. Let us look at the role of women in other liberation movement. You know, in Liberia, do you know why Johnson Sirleaf became the president of Liberia? It's because women became powerful when men were almost defeated, and men underwent what the Anglophones are going today, and women actually came together. I mean, they brought in the Christianity came in, and women actually they took over power. I mean, they played the rules of men, and they were able to impose. Look at the issue of South Africa. When Nelson Mandela actually was taken to prison, was Winnie Mandela that became even very stronger. And I would not like to say that even their divorce took place because Winnie Mandela became very strong, and people respected her when Mandela was in prison. I think that our women should walk their talks with action. You will not stay there in Europe or in America and then sit and say, what expertise are they talking about? I think that what we are needing in Cameroon today, as far as the Anglophone crisis is concerned, is the fact that this CDN, what I expect to get from them, when the crisis started in 2016, the only weapon that these people started was the catapult, the rubber gun. And of course, it grew, this war grew to the level where it is today because of the diaspora. I must say this and say it very strongly. It's because of the mismanagement or the egoism of the diaspora that we are where we are today. Remember that even let the CM be able to control the guns that are entering into the northwest and southwest region. There are some of us that we have been targeted because you are there in Europe, you had a problem with your brother in the village, and now since you can sponsor the armed groups, that is what you do. And then some of us who are here have been threatened because of your want to settle scores. So I think the women should talk and talk well. They should talk and talk well. What we need in Cameroon today is the fact that, yes, somebody was talking about not fighting from abroad. I will not say no. Fight from abroad, but it's correct because we also need an external force. Because when you partner with other people, I was just watching the election in Sierra Leone, and the Sierra Leonean president, the sitting president, is after being blackmailed by the European Union, and I mean, they are making a lot of noise about it, and what they are saying is, I mean, holding water, because once the diaspora speaks, once the international community speaks, I know that after the government listens. And that is why I don't undermine. Yeah, that is true, but the diaspora forms part of, they are the ones who are actually, like, I mean, every country has diaspora. That is true. And they are responsible diaspora and irresponsible. No, that diaspora. Is true. But we must identify that. We should be able to contain all of them. We have to contain all of them. Because at this level, I see we are calling names. We don't have to call names. There are some people, I mean, they say the IG or this group. We have about 7 groups that are fighting. I mean, but you just heard an audio where people are putting out saying that everybody who went to this thing is Canada should be killed. That is to kill. That belongs to a group, and I see foolishness. No, these people are not serious here. I see people are not serious. I see foolishness. I see foolishness in that audio. Because someone will say he calls himself a commander. Listen, and then he's asking that the imposters, people who seek went and were seeking for peace should be killed. The Jacobin man. As much as we want to solve this problem, we must leave this flaring anger down. We must put it down.
I'm not angry.
That is true.
I'm putting facts in your face in very hard words.
That is what I'm telling you.
Because I'm not in charge.
See, we have pulled ropes since 2016. We who are on the ground, I know what we are talking about. We pull ropes through 2016. We have realized that there is a time that we have to contain. Sometimes some people speak out of foolishness. When a certain commander says that you should put people under house arrest, which house arrest? Which house arrest are they talking about? So leave that foolishness. He is listening to us. Leave his foolishness because he has not to contribute as far as solving the Anglophone crisis is concerned. So what I'm saying that I laud the initiative of the CDN with the women inclusive, because we have understood the role of women. Even biblically, women have played a very, very important role in solving crisis. And I think that women put down anger. Women are, those who talk peace. When you look at a woman, you see peace, you see love. And that is the most important thing that we have to exercise now. We have to exercise love. Because if we have to remember all that has happened to us and put on our pedestals, we are not going to get anywhere in solving this crisis. Yes, justice before peace, that is true. But how do you go about getting justice? You need to be very careful, because in trying to seek justice, you create much more problems that will need further justice and future justice. You need to be very, very careful about that. And that is why most of these guys who were implicated in these things are guys who are not technocrats. Somebody have talked about the fighting of the war, that at the end of it, sometimes you see the face of the person who comes out at the end of the war. You don't believe that this was the person who was behind this thing. And it is true. This is the idea about the war, that actually there are people there are faceless people who are fighting the war. But then we need to use tact. If you don't use tact, we don't get anywhere. There's most of these people who have gotten into war with different aspirations, with different intentions. But how do you discern their intention? How do you bring them and actually can bring to an understanding who these people are?
Doctor, first of all, saying one thing and also elaborating the contrary of something.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying that we should not overput anger ahead of all of these things. That if we are talking about, I wanted to talk about the point of women, and I'm talking about the point of peace, because women are for peace. Because when you look at a woman and see love,
you say women are for peace.
Yes, they are.
Do you know that a certain woman will be tried in Maryland?
I know Edith. You want to talk about Edith,
and that's a woman.
No, you want to talk about Edith. You want to talk about Edith. I know, Paddy. I know. Before you want to talk about it, it is true. You cannot use a single example and then you generalize about
church by church.
No, Paddy. No. I think you come in peace, Paddy. If you have come in peace, I know.
I've come to tell you people the truth.
That is true.
So when you decide,
Paddy, we live the truth. We are an incarnation of that truth as we are living here. Else you wouldn't have met us. I know that you are speaking. This is the first day you are speaking on the media, right? By the time you speak in 2-3 media, your voice will have been gone. You should even thank us that we still have the voices to speak. Because we have been talking, we have been doing, Paddy. I don't know for how long you'll be in Cameroon, but I know that you will cut short your stay in Cameroon because you are not going to contain what is happening. It is true. It is huge. It is really huge. But maybe those of you in the diaspora, you are looking, it's not a child's play. It is not something that you think that at the click of the mouse, it is going to be solved. No. Okay. It needs a procedure. It needs actually it needs peace, to be able to talk with people and dialogue.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. What a wonderful topic of discussion, and brilliant people, especially my friend Mr. Ndimancho, that always goes directly to the point. Peace is very important. So let us forget about pride and contribute for peace, because it is important. Important element in the society. I'm Chinda Ferdinand, writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you, Chinda Ferdinand. Carlson, Ayaba, I'll read another position of the women. They said to amplify the voices of stakeholders who engage in meaningful dialogue intentionally and purposefully among themselves in order to speed up the process of peace negotiations. This is the third point brought forth by the women in their women's position statement, Toronto 2021. What else do you expect women to be doing to drive forward the peace effort?
I think women should talk to both sides of the aisle. They should. That's what has been pushing this crisis forward, because seemingly, if you look at all the women conferences that have been happening in Cameroon, they've always been telling the government should do this, the government must do this. You hardly ever hear women talking to the other side of the aisle saying, no, the leaders of this separatist group, you have to do this, you have to do this. It hardly happens that way. So that is one point which the woman should also focus on now. About being, the women are talking about the stakeholders of the crisis. We should know that nobody has been mandated to be a stakeholder in this crisis. those who are raising concerns about who has been mandated or who has been given the authority, they should be reminded that what is imperative for what to happen in the Southwest and all Sudan should be peace. May I remind you that the women who are there who are speaking, or all the members at the CDN, are not speaking for all Anglophones. The women there are not speaking for all Anglophones. The important thing to note is that the constitutional talks which the women are holding there, they should also hold it back here in Cameroon. It must be held on ground. There must be all inclusion. All Anglophones must be able to participate in what the women are trying to envisage, because it's an Anglophone problem. It's not a particular problem for women or a particular problem for those who are at the CDN. Now, those who are still talking about mandating, nobody mandated Sako or True Lucas or whatever warring faction to be the representatives of the people, as the women want to claim, or as they are trying to put it. Like Mr. John Ako, Dr. John Ako said, there can be no way to resolve the dialogue. There can be no way to resolve the crisis in Cameroon if the government of Cameroon is not present. There is no way that this crisis can be, the Anglophone crisis can be resolved if the government is not present. That's what I'm saying. The women need to talk to all factions. They should not talk to only one faction and leave the other one. Now, we need to understand why they need to talk to everybody. I'll start with the case of the government. When this crisis started, the government took a very bad position, because at the beginning, the government did not want to dialogue. But then the crisis escalated to what we have today, and the government realized it needed to shift its position. And the government has, in reality, the government has made its own attempts to dialogue, but seemingly it has not been enough to some people. And so one of the reasons why it has not been enough is because Anglophones are not trusting themselves. That's why I keep saying the women need to talk to people on both sides of the aisle to trust themselves. I'll start again with Dr. John Ako for the correction. I do not want to say there are people Southwesterners who are Northwesterners, or support what Dr. John Ako said. These are people who have been paid. They are paid agents who are there for divide and rule. But sadly for them, this CDN and these women's voices is coming up to show that we Anglophones, we have suffered a lot, and since those that enter, it's our head. So the enemy's plan has been failing. Now we have gone into a position where if person A wants to project himself as a leader, person B is going to bring up points to castigate person A. Or if person B wants to go up, person A is person B. That is where the women have to sit down and talk to everybody, because it does not matter who is going to be as a stakeholder. What matters is that peace should come into the Northwest and Southwest region. If you look at many liberation movements, those who have handled peace or those who have taken the baton are those who are on ground. Mr. Lo, now it becomes a fundamental question. Who do the women think can be stakeholders? Who do we think can be stakeholders? I would like to point to the fact that those who are in the diaspora can never be stakeholders to be able to end this crisis. You don't expect the family of Florence Ayafo, that's why I said Paddy Asanga, you don't expect the family of Florence Ayafo to leave the leaders who are responsible for the killing of Florence Ayafo to lead the Anglophone crisis. You don't expect Anglophones to support a dictator who has chopped off fingers of people to be able to lead the crisis. You don't expect Anglophones to take Sako Ikome, somebody who has embezzled money through warring schemes like my trip to Boya War Draft, devoided people of their money, deceive people not to go to school, frustrated post-education. You don't expect Anglophones to be able to trust this kind of people. You don't expect Anglophones to also trust the leaders of the governing council and others to be able to lead this crisis. So where should the real stakeholders be? The real stakeholders should be on the ground. That is what the common man wants. We need people who have suffered. If you look at all liberation crises, all liberation movements in the world, from Rwanda to Liberia, you realize that these are people who have been on the ground. One of the most important things where I said the women need to talk to everybody is about the topic of inclusion. One thing which captivated me about the CDN was the fact that it had 5 countries participating. That's a very big point, the point of inclusiveness. So the women need to buy into that point. I know that because the Canadians or the organizers let everybody to come in, the women also need to point fingers to everybody to be able to pull them. So that's what I expect the women to do, to be able to point fingers at all the factions available who are responsible for the prolongement of this crisis, to be able to come to the dialogue table and sit under one voice.
Okay. Dr. Aku, John Aku, the meeting held, the Toronto statement is out. I'm sure you've gone through. Huh? Okay, point 3. No, point 3 is what I asking. There's a point 4. There's a point 4. Call on all goodwill people and institutions to support women through capacity strengthening and financing for effective and efficient monitoring and supporting of all peace initiatives as we move towards a peace negotiation. We, the women in all our diversity, uphold to continue working with the Coalition for Dialogue and Negotiation and other goodwill stakeholders to bring an end to the suffering and pain of our people? Are the people truly in pain? What should these women do other than they have been doing to bring an end to the suffering and pain of the people, like they say?
Yeah, when you look at, I don't always like to work with people who move more agenda with political egoism, those who want to get political recognition. I will tell you that several times, the more of those groups, yes, I will support the likes of Ayaba, Carlson, that yes, we must talk on the ground. But then I'm telling you that a lot of women who talk on the ground are highly equally very sponsored by the government in power.
Okay.
And that which has made their voices not to be heard. I was thinking that after the killing of this small girl in Boya, this child is a child of a mother. And without any political maneuver, we need to see this same women group coming to say this is one of the incidents and that government must talk. And that government must end this mess. We must end this mess. The children that are being killed are children of mothers. And you know what a mother is to his children. And we need to see that at any time this is done, we need to see a reaction from these same women that are on the ground, but not when meetings of such nations, and we even sometime, it was said, some women were international mourners. They were called to gather and then cry so that cameras should come towards them. When you do such a movie, when you stage such a theater, which people know that is not the reality, it equally gets into the same light that some of those who are women leaders within same group want state recognition, and it is not right. What women have done and should play a predominant role. I cannot imagine that we're in the 21st century. No woman of the government arm has come out officially to say, really, it touches mothers. Sometimes I even said, it would have been right that the incident in Kumba, that the First Lady of the Republic should take it as those children in school were her children, and come out in a very, in fact, official manner with strong statement. I believe the husband would have listened. I equally think that those who are women to ministers, more to that, the elites of Southern Cameroon have not been doing greatly. We have been seeing a lot of the actors, those who belong to NGOs or those who belong to social groups, trying to come out. A lot of these women leaders in politics have not really stepped forward. Some of them still, when stepping forward is being used to propagate personal image and intention, is still a problem. Women can play a significant role. Cameroon today, we are told that women population is more than that of men. So why should we say women have been sidelined? Yes, I will come back to say, I don't know whether it was Ndimancho that said that women themselves have sidelined their own self to the second position. And it is just coming at a time when we need them more. And I believe when there's something we used to talk about Tamnjong, you imagine when a woman, yes, when a woman undresses in front of the public. Yes, we cannot.
Become something else.
Yeah, but we should not ignore that it has its value. It has its value. I believe from where I come from, when a Manu woman comes out, when a woman from Manu comes out to fight for injustice, and women have to undress in front of you, I strongly believe that it will never be well with you. And if we respect the value of that particular standard, women has instruments they can use. They know the extent they can go. But I still insist, if such gatherings and opinions are politically motivated, then will not be okay. We should respond at every situation. The children that are being killed are women, children born by women. And the women voices are supposed to be heard, not linear.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Chabi, writing from Boya. I love the topic today. Keep up with the good work. Thank you very much. Okay. This one says, I wish to have the number of Mr. Paddy Asanga because he is very objective, for we cannot solve this problem when we reserve the truth because of fear or favor. Who is it? I will also give you a name to someone I don't know now. Who is writing and where are you writing from? Paddy Asanga.
Let him go on Facebook and he will get my number. We will discuss. Yes, I'm listening to you, Mr. Liu.
Paddy Asanga says you should go to Facebook. You will get his number on his Facebook page. Yes, Paddy, the meeting is ended in Toronto. What should follow? Listen,
let's wait for those who left here and went there. those members, those who have been on the home front, who were invited and they went there to come down and let us, those of you who are here, sit with them, and then you synergize, you strategize on the way forward. Remember, because we should always say the truth in the eyes of all these people who are watching me now. The legitimate leader, apart from one who's still in Kondengi prison, Kassan Wilfred, Fontaine was there, Bala was there. Those are the legitimate leaders. Power is coming back to where it belongs to, because nobody in the diaspora was here on the ground. You cannot contribute money and send somebody's child to go and die, and you think that you are a leader of a dead person. It doesn't work like that. Foolishness. Nonsense. Nonsense. So Bala has taken the baton with Fontaine Neba. Kassan Wilfred should be released and he joins them. And we re-strategize on the consortium with the College of Conveners of the Anglophone General Conference. Cardinal Tumi has planted the decoration. He has planted the decoration. Any other Anglophone honest person, be it those in the government, be it those of the opposition, we should be talking about a massive movement that will move from place to place, because the Anglophone community is not a homogeneous community. Boya, there is ghost town in Boya. There is no ghost town in Boya. There is no ghost town in Limbe. They had to go and throw a bomb in a taxi to implement ghost towns. What do you think? But you go to Bui, people respect it religiously. You go to certain remote areas, so every community has its own problem. If you don't look at it from that kind of holistic perspective, you will not know. So let's go and meet the people in Bui. Say, but why are you respecting ghost towns? What is the motive? Then you ask the people in Boya, why are you respecting ghost towns? Are you not respecting ghosts? Go to Nkambe and ask them, why are they not respecting ghost towns? Come to my Abakwanata and ask them, why do you not respect ghost towns? The food market is open on Mondays. That's what some people don't know. So this is what should be done. That's the way forward. If this Jacobinist hyper-centralized system that some people are negotiating in France to keep us in perpetuity, servitude under the French system doesn't listen to us, I'm afraid that we are going for a long shot, because I know the position in Cameroon has been infiltrated. Remember that I was in Paris. We'll have another discussions here, since we are not talking about the Cameroon problem, and I will reveal to you what is happening out there. Let's be very honest. Dr. Oko John Ako, you people have the mandate of the silent majority. Use it as a political capital and engage them. The decorations have been planted. Those people, those scavengers, those are my words, have capitulated, but they are looking for a breach. Everything that they wanted, oh, international organization, we'll go talk for United Nations, we don't go make Takambengni, they can't cry. 3 people, when they called people to go and demonstrate, there are only 3 people. Everybody is afraid to put his name. What you saw them doing, it doesn't depend on them. It depends on the fact that they arrested Nnamdi Kanu, with whom they created alliance with. Mangan will be tried on the 12th of December. Their processes, 2 days ago, people were arrested in Nigeria, ferried in Cameroon. The cards have crumbled. And we told them, I am not in church, and I'm not one of those people who think that, Leo, please let me land. And this is my last time of talking. Let me land. I'm not one of those people who believes in impunity. Judge me for what I have done and said. If I merit jail, let me go to jail. I don't talk and finish nonsense.
What should follow after the CDN retreat?
Mr. Leo, I think...
Is it also time for those who castigated to now sit back and try to go through, talk to those who were there?
Well, those who castigated, how pure, how clean are they?
Okay.
You cannot shoot the first stone while you yourself, you are not pure. For all I've seen and fallen short the glory of God, I know Paddy is not here in church. Maybe his stomach will be aching him for that statement. You know, what I wanted to say was that after the Toronto, there should be a continuation of the Toronto. Okay. Because after the national monologue in Yaoundé, of which Paddy, I'm happy he was part of it, and he was a failure, so he was a failure. You see, I think after the Toronto, there should be a continuation of the Toronto. Because of, if the continuity is not there, then we would have started something very good. I would have ended it very bad. Because we need results.
Why was the national dialogue a failure? Lambere should have been killed, or Clovis?
Please. You see, Masalio, I was saying
you don't index me and you shut up my mouth. It doesn't work like that.
I was saying that if the continuation is not sustained,
there should be follow-up.
There should be follow-up. If the follow-up is not sustained, the results that are expected will not be obtained. And if the results are not obtained, killings, taking people for ransom, cutting of people's heads, it will continue. And all the talks that we are doing here would have been in vain. But if there is a follow-up, and that follow-up, Mr. Liu, the Cameroon government has 80% obligation. There are times in life that wisdom has it. If you need peace, you can shake a hand even with the devil. I think it is time for Yaoundé. If shaking hands with Ayaba, Ebenezer Akwanga and the rest can bring back peace to Cameroon, do it. Please, no, Ayafo is not the only person who died.
What about
and she is not the most important human being that ever died. I am saying that if shaking hands with these people can bring the needed peace, let them shake their hands. Because Yaoundé has not been pure. Yaoundé might not have directly used the gun to kill the people, but there are things that they have done that have killed the people. So we don't need to come here with some kind of...
Yaoundé admitted killing in Garbu.
We don't need to come here with a fixed mind, Mr. Liu, with some sentence of dictation to be reading and reciting every day. Ayafo this, Ayafo. Yes, it happened. Yaoundé accepted the killing in Garbu. Yes.
And the 33, the 7 in Kumba.
Yes.
Please, Paddy, let him learn.
I am not in that.
You're going to come back
in that dimension. So, Mr. Liu, I am saying that with all these things, everybody needs to be brought on board.
Thank you.
Those people, like Paddy said a while ago, like the Tasang, who were arrested because they only talked of the word federalism. I think peace should start from there. Those who were arrested because they asked for development, peace should start from there. Because before these people became extreme terrorists, yesterday...
Tasang have never been a terrorist.
Before these people became...
Mancho has never been a terrorist.
Before
Kalim has never been a terrorist. Please, Leo.
Let him finish. You are going to come back.
Be afraid that they'll cut you and cut your head. I'm not afraid of that.
You will come back to you.
Before these people became extreme terrorists, Mr. Leo, they were patriots yesterday. It is because they wanted to see their country grow. And a certain people in Yaoundé hijacked the country, took the resources to be their own personal resources, and decided to impoverish the country, which made these people angry. I am not justifying why they took up guns. So at this time, everybody has to say, yes, I failed, I did wrong, and it is time for us to reconcile and come back to peace.
Okay. Yes, after Toronto, you certainly have some words, because I'm sure the organizers of the coalition, the organizers of the Toronto retreat, they should be watching us here. I'm talking about members of the coalition for dialogue and negotiation. But now they should be watching us, and I'm hoping to have them actually on this platform, especially as you say, those who were there are going to be coming back. I know some of them. I hope that I have a debate with them to explain what actually transpired there. But what is it that you are telling them to also continue from where they ended?
I think dialogue and negotiation avenue should not become like political parties where we form one today and tomorrow you find that this one has failed, you form another. I think there are people who left Cameroon to go to Canada, and those people should be mandated to come back home and be able to gather and bring, to transmit what they came with from Canada. It is very important, because if the people come back and they sit Are they just expecting that another dialogue should be organized by the CDN next year, and then they go and attend? They come back home and they stay. I commercialize. They like going, flying on planes, first class and whatsoever. Like Paddy was flying in during the major national dialogue. I don't think this is what we want. This is not what we want. This is not what we want. We want concrete action, action that is real. Let people incarnate their ideas and bring them on the ground for us to see. It should not be an issue. And what we have realized too, that there's a lot of subjectivity in this thing. You capitalize on one person and say, this is the best person that should represent us. Who told you? Who voted him? Who mandated you to say that this or that is the best person that he has never even touched or never spilled blood? I think that we should be very careful. And that is why we are talking about the issue of inclusive dialogue. That it is only when we come together that we can be able to say that, okay, this person we have chosen, we have unanimously chosen this person because we have studied his record and seen that at least he was better than the others. Because as we have said in all these things, who is well? Many of us, even through this one, talking on media, we have caused a lot of harm. And we have inflated this war. We have caused pain to some people without knowing.
We which group?
Well, whatever group it is, across the board even, we have. Even within ourselves, we have. So it's good that we should be very, very careful and leave that kind of subjectivity that we have and be able to, let us be inclusive.
Not to cut, yes. Honestly, I would like to tell you, Paddy will not tell you that he does not have a conflict within this conflict.
That is the thing.
If we have to end this conflict, one of the things which I'm just saying, that there is a need for truth, justice, truth, and reconciliation among
I agree with you.
Yes.
Paddy is going to talk with
Mafish. He's going to talk with Mafish. Don't you think that you have to reconcile with Mafish?
We need video.
You think that
Paddy is going to embrace and they
that is it. That is what I'm saying. No. And please, Paddy, we cry so much over spilled milk. You said Ayaba, you said the children in Gabu, you said but it is true, this happened. But these are the things that will go into record, and that's why we are talking about justice. Because justice is not in the air, it's not, justice is matter. Those who it's something like, it should be seen to have been done, and it should be done. That is what we are talking about. So we talk about justice, and you think that there are particular people that we should talk about justice, even across the order, or across the board, even the military, they too have been killed. Doctor. And then they too need justice. So let us not think as if we think that justice should only be done on one side. And please, Paddy, I understand with you very well. And I've told you that I know that, there is that kind of anger that is in people, and then you feel that things should just be solved the way that we think. It is not like that. 5 years is not 5 days. And many people have been wounded. Many people have gone through untold suffering, and at least caused by one or two persons. And I think that when we are talking about these things, we should be very careful not to cause further problem. Because when you say people who are in prison, they are together with Tasang. You say Tasang is the only right person to do this. It is not going to be the other people. The suffering that they are in prison is due to this cause, and we also have to recognize that. So let us be objective and choose
to belong to a group led by somebody.
And that is my right. And
so I am here to say,
that is why there are many
let
terrorist
the
groups.
others bring their own people to come and defend their position. I am not here. I'm not here to be unjust.
Please let me land. You will come on. Please let me land. What I'm saying is that my brother Paddy, you are deciding to belong to a group. How?
What prevents me from belonging to a group?
No, it is true. But how concretely are you doing that? I thought that you are just coming, and I think that you are going to start something and gather some people.
I'm talking about one Cameroon.
No, you are talking about one Cameroon.
Are you not one Cameroon?
No, yes, I'm a federalist. That's true. That is true.
So federalism is one Cameroon.
That it is not that.
Then join us.
It's not a little rhetorics. There's something completely should be done as you have come. If you start something about one Cameroon, I want to hear your ideas about one Cameroon. What do you want to talk about one Cameroon?
Leo is here.
That is it. That is right. And then we'll follow you. It's not about talking here on the media and then putting your own point of view and thinking that, what has happened has happened. The girl in Buya was killed. The child in Buya was killed. The Gabu girls were killed. The children were killed. But what is the way forward? That's what we are talking about. And the way forward is that, like Dr. John Aku said, we need justice and peace. And now we are talking about justice. It should be fair. I mean, you should follow a course, and you cannot just be at the click of the mouse that you see justice done. We need to go gradually, and that's why I'm talking. These are individual groups you people are forming. I know that you were with the Kanatume. These groups that you are forming every day. I know that as you come, you're going to form another group, and I know these groups you are forming. Let us know exactly for what reason you are forming this group. Okay. Because I have to study well before I belong to any group.
Okay.
Carlson,
I've listened to you.
Carlson, Ayaba, what should follow the Toronto retreat? After prayers,
All right.
we look up to God now for answers.
Mr. Leo, I don't want to believe that this is how the CDN was held in Toronto. The way the panelist is today is very vibrant. But anyway, like one of the most panelists said, Apostle, this dialogue is like this. You guys have to sit, you have to fight, you have to insult yourself, you have to curse. And after the show, you go downstairs and drink one couple of beer and say, okay, yeah, let's go home. So what should be done? I want to follow up as you asked, Mr. Leo. I will support with Mr. Ndimancho. There must be continuation. We are not in a process or we are not at a state where something happens and it dies there. We need to see continuation. It must continue. Rallying also must start happening on the ground. It is not going to end on ground zero. We need to see people start rallying up to have conferences and talks on the ground. Just like if you take a scenario, when you want to cook beans, you first put the beans in water to get soft before you cook. So those who are participating in the diaspora must also start telling their factions or their representatives back in ground zero that, okay, negotiations are about to happen, so peace must start setting in so as to leave people to have the freedom to express themselves, to have the freedom to move, to have the freedom to be able to contribute their ideas, because at the end of the day, those who matter most are those in the diaspora. That's why I said to Paddy, it's imperative that consultative talks not be held in Yaoundé. They have to be held at the local grassroots. We have to move directly to Bui and ask the people in Bui what is happening, what is not going on, what has been going on. You need to move to Bui and ask the people, why has this been happening? Why has ghost town not been happening? Or why have you been expecting ghost towns? So we have to have constitutional talks at the grassroots where we need to move to all of these areas respectively and talk to the people. The second thing which should happen after, as you asked Mr. Leo, the government also should start taking notes. You know, one of the reasons why the Swiss talks did not happen, or the government's position has always been that the government does not know who to dialogue with. But I think now the CDN is trying to prove that Anglophones want to rally under one common voice so that the government can understand that, okay, there is a position, somebody who to dialogue with. Because to be right, the government had the right to, the government was seemingly right to say they did not know who to dialogue with. There were too many factions to choose who to represent. But now this CDN is coming to show that there should be one group which can unite all voices of Anglophones. So the government should start taking notes. That's what should happen after the CDN. Another thing is that we need to be having transparency within these conference talks. Most of these talks or the CDN were held behind closed doors where us here back at home did not know what was happening. And because we did not know what was happening, the talks were hijacked by some people in the media, by hate speech group and lies. We have started hearing how people were condoning Mr. Leo for supporting the peace talks. We were hearing people were saying that the national anthem of Cameroon was sung during the peace talks, or there are some people who carried Cameroon flags on his chest. No, that is where we need to start having transparency in these conference talks, because we in ground zero cannot be sitting down and people are talking and we don't have to chip in something. It is also imperative that these conference talks, they provide a medium where when these talks are being held, those back at ground zero can be able to chip in their points, because whatever they keep in the dark is only going to bring in more suspicion and more hatred and more doubt. So the only way to keep this doubt and to be able to make this peace process or other peace process to be able to go forward, what should happen next is that there must be transparency at all levels within the talks.
Okay, thank you very much. Many persons are writing to say that it's no longer time for the blame game. It's been blaming one another for 5 years. That it's time to think differently.
Yeah, it's just what I was saying, and that somewhere where the government of Cameroon should come in and assist. If really the government of Yaoundé is for peace, there is a need, after all the thousands of commissions that they have created, and we haven't seen the Bilingualism Commission, the Disarmament Commission. I am saying if there is need for peace and that we stop the blame game, it will start with members of government. We need a video of ministers to stand openly and tell Cameroonians they are sorry that they failed in 2016 to accept the problems tabled by Anglophone Cameroonians, and that there was a need, and then all the insult. In fact, you remember the governor of Boya, we remember the propaganda agent of the state, the communication minister at the time, and a lot of others, Minister of Justice, and even at the level of the National Assembly. If we want to reconcile people, like Paddy said, there is need for us to look at one another and speak the truth. There is need for us to accept that we have created a vacuum, that we failed. If you fail to accept, it's the beginning of another problem. No matter what we do now, there will never be peace. People might die down to give chance a peace, but that peace, I always call it perishable peace, because in 10, 15, 20 years time, we'll start talking about the same thing again. We need people to look at one another and say, we've forgotten. Bygones are bygones. And I tell you sincerely, let's embrace one another. There is a need for us to talk on the same table. Yes, errors are committed. What do? We should strangle ourselves because errors are committed and we continue killing. If there's a way we can stop a life, because human beings, by their nature, did not even create one life. We don't even know how life came on earth. And so we have no right to even stop others from living. If this can bring peace. I mean, the Prime Minister, after the tour and the movement of the implementation of the national dialogue, there is that need for the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, where we don't need people to do this in their offices. Create us a forum where we meet and tell us that I insulted all of you dogs. And today I will withdraw these words. I committed an error. People have knelt down. You saw Nelson Mandela going down to sit with the people on the floor. It was not like, that is the strength of making. Both sides. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, if there's the beginning of it, we should start to give this honesty on both sides.
There is a third side, which is the side of the victims. So when you people keep talking about both sides, it seems as if one side has the mandate and we are just commoners who should be trampled upon, and they come and sit between themselves and
yeah, I understand.
We, the silent majority, we have to judge everybody, and even me who is running my mouth here. That's what I said.
Yeah, but that's what I said at the beginning. Paddy, you have a lot to say before Cameroonians, and that is what one of the issues. If I'm talking, I said it should begin.
I'm not afraid.
Yes, I said it should begin.
I'm prepared
with
to
the part of the state. That notwithstanding, even some of us too, because we have equally been attacked.
You people are victims. Yeah. You are victims of the Jacobini system and scavengers who are sitting there just.
Yeah, but that does not mean that we have not injured others. Some of us have been attacked also verbally for standing and taking an opinion.
Will you sit down and clap for somebody to rape you and you say, no, well done, sir?
No, but please, work like that. Paddy, what I am insisting is that times are gone, and that is why everybody that has spoken to me in the past, I have told them anything that would cause us to bring dialogue, which is inclusive. You see a video that circulated within the week. Boys were arrested at random, and today they are passing 5 years in prison without trial. This type of issue, the first step of reconciliation will be that anybody, whosoever his crime was, arrested during the crisis should be released without precondition. Because all of us have already sinned before the people of Cameroon, and we need to reconcile and see that.
Are you quoting the Old or New Testament?
Paddy.
I don't know where the testament is, but I know we have committed a lot.
No longer time for blame game, time to reconcile. So how do we get there?
I'm a fair player, and I believe in debate, right? And I am very happy about the initiatives, and I always want to go memory lane and to give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. I'm happy that, contrary to those who were invited to the national dialogue and they boycotted, the CDN invited people who took part in the national dialogue and they went to listen to them. That is leadership. You cannot be afraid if you have nothing to blame yourself. I told you people that I was almost jailed in prison because I went to share the pageants where some of you are angry about that they gave us for participating. I shared it and the records are there. Let me say things the way they are. So, when they come back,
because
they should continue.
Some persons have written to find out what you did with the money that was given to you at the major national.
Let me be honest to you. That was the cause of my arrest, that I spent a night in gendarmerie. I was given 600,000 like any other person. Those who went, talking in Canada now, they are receiving per diems. Those who went into to Switzerland, they received $5,000. Nobody's talking. They are talking about Paddy because Paddy said it
that they gave us, and let's go and give refugees and people who married it. Leo,
So
who paid me?
You took your money to prison?
I took my money to prison. Mgalim is there. Mamadou Mokhtar is there. Silvanus Mutaga is there. Go and ask them. I call names. If you don't like to listen, they were there. That's what I do. I'm not afraid to say it. I went to Garwa. The records are there. Ask your man from who was the Presbyterian church leader in Garwa. What happened? That's how the money went. I don't need it. My catechist salary is enough for me. I was supposed to be dead long ago. Now, coming back to what should be done, I think we have some peace crusaders. We should say things and be very strategic. We have some peace crusader, and when I saw this image, Bala standing with and Ayaba trying to come, and Bala talking to me. I'm that kind of radical person. Bala told me, let's go there. I said, go, and I'm come to Cameroon. I will not. I'm not in church. That's the premise. So when these people come out, they should continue and go to the hinterlands, identify the stakeholders, bring them to the table. These are the leaders. Home front. I heard Dr. John Aku talk about people who were leading from the ground. Let them come back and lead from the ground. Because those people, those of us who are abroad, you think that Ayaba is more an Anglophone than me because he was dismissed from the university. I was also dismissed. Akwanga is more an Anglophone for me. I was also dismissed. And it did not warrant me to pick up a gun. So those people who are on the home front, let them come. I heard people say that they don't want religious leader to be involved in crisis. Is Christian not a party, a pastor, or is a fake pastor? Is Sakona a pastor, or is a fake pastor? John Egiwan is not a pastor. So what are they reproaching from Fomenki, the church leader, or the Imam of Bamenda, the Imam of Buya, the moderator of the leader of the Catholic Church, or Bishop Kea, and so on? So what are we saying? You people, you just swallow things without chewing them.
What's the way forward?
And the way forward is that we have identified a leadership, and that leadership should be broad-based when those people who went abroad come back home.
Okay, we just have 3 more minutes. Yes, way forward.
Yes, I think I will say something that many people will not. You see, the way forward should be that our grandmothers in the village, our grandfathers should be the one to chant the way forward. I think all these PhDs, doctors, they should be sidelined. Even me. You know, in 1961, the Fumban group that was led by Foncha were not made up of PhDs. But at least they came out with something called federalism. And it is because of the mismanagement of this federalism that we are where we are today. But people went to the national dialogue with doctors, PhDs, and came out with empty. No, you cannot be a doctor. And came out with zero, with nothing. So I am thinking that if the chance is given for the people who are feeling the pinch, Mr. Leo, the grandmother, the grandfather, the little children who have heard all sounds of guns, created an avenue for them to come out and speak. It is from there that they will collect what their view stands for. And their views will be very genuine and honest if they are considered things. We are not saying that in one day they can just come to normalcy. Things will start taking a direction to normalcy, because our problems as Anglophones have been too many. They cannot be solved just in 1, 2, 3, 5 years. They have to go gradually. There are many, and they are heavy too. Okay.
Professor Tita, yes, of CPP party, says, Mr. Liu, this saga has taken too long. The 2 cocks should be allowed to get to the yard for an open fight, and within no time, one of the cocks will run away, giving room for peace to reign. Tita Samuel from writing there, we don't want fight, we want peace. Good evening, Mr. Liu, I'm just a man. He's one who does what he is supposed to do, and vice versa. Truth suffers but never dies. From Tume Emmanuel, writing from Kumbu. Good evening to you. Dr. Henry Atem, who is watching, who is watching from the United States of America, coordinator of the Coalition for Dialogue. Yes, he says no PDM was given. He's just correcting.
No, but if it was given, it was given. If it's not given, it's not given.
Yeah, no,
so I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, so it says okay. No PDM was given.
Good.
Okay, now, yes, way forward after.
Flights were paid, or
yes.
at least.
I don't know.
I think the way forward should be for the Cameroon government to allow a home-based conference.
Okay.
Yes, it is very, very important. And I must come back to the memory of Christian Cardinal Tumel.
Thank you.
There is a cardinal who made a speech at the burial of Cardinal Tumel, a cardinal from Kinshasa. And he said, the cardinal has gone through untold stories because of his people, and he has died because of his people. And I'm telling you, if we don't come back to the ideas and ideology and the strategy of the cardinal and to recognize that he was bringing something, and the best way to recognize that is to accept that a conference will be held. Somebody refused that the conference shouldn't be held, and that the conference will hold over his dead body. Thank God the person is no more. And I know that he paved the way for the conference to be held. The way forward is that the Cameroon government should accept that Anglophones come together and chart a way forward. Because this issue of allowing people just to talk from abroad may not bring us any solution or panacea as we would like to have. To have an inclusive conference, we need to have a conference held in Cameroon, either in Bamenda or in Buea. And then we give access. We enable people to leave from the hinterlands and come. I learned during the major national dialogue that maybe Paddy was in charge of the guys who were living from Kumbu, the Amba boys who were living from Kumbu to Yaoundé. I don't know how that is true. But he should also be in charge this time around to bring all the Anglophones from all the other places from the hinterland to come and share views and chart a way forward and brainstorm and fight and then settle our issue, because as someone said, the first fight and reconciliation is within Anglophones. And then when we must have had that reconciliation within ourselves, then we can get for a national reconciliation. Remember that I usually say, no drop of blood of an Anglophone is worth an economic or political interest of anybody. It's not worth. Don't feed on the blood of Anglophones. And if you have done that, please start confessing. And I'm sure that you really need some.
Okay. No. Let Ayaba. Yes. What's the way out, please? 2 minutes for you.
The way out, I also
no, you guys come.
join points with what Dr. Ndimancho has just said. There must be talks on the ground, and the government. The government should leave people to talk. I also expect us on the ground, people on ground zero, to start having that euphoria, that feeling of peace coming, because it would not be nice for peace to be happening somewhere and we are just sitting here and just walking up and down like sheep. We must also be dipping our eyes and looking at what are those guys discussing there, because whether you accept it or not, whatever has been happening in this crisis within the last 5 or 4 years has been based on the decisions that people have been taking in the diaspora. So we on ground zero need to be looking, dipping our eyes at whatever they are discussing over there, to be able to make sure that they take decisions which are not going to help us the more, or they take decisions which are going to line with the Anglophone problem. So we in the ground zero should put our eyes inside what is happening, and we should also have that euphoria of peace coming and start. The government should allow us to be able to sit in our own mini conferences back in ground zero, back in the hinterlands, to discuss what we can decide as a community to push forward for those who will eventually go and represent the Anglophone case in front of whatever body that be it.
Okay, you had something to say, Doctor, then after you.
Yeah, I'm not like something new, but I will insist that if really for peace to return, I wished and grave the indulgences of the members of government to release anybody that was arrested for the purpose of this crisis. To start from there, it will be better for the interest of all.
Okay.
Yes. Mr. Aliu, just to say a quick one that, and again, for this peace to be fully obtained, the Anglophone elite class shuffling the corridors in Yaoundé with a lot of lies every day. I think it's time for them to come to their senses and know that lives back home matter. Because we have Anglophone elites in Yaoundé that there's no road in their village, but they are telling lies in Yaoundé that everything is under control. Things are not yet under control, so we have to speak the truth to put things under control.
Okay, we want to thank you all.
You have not given me the last opportunity to speak. Marginalization, is it because I'm from the diaspora? Dr. John Aku, we have an organization that takes care of the prisoners and this time around, I would like people like you to join us to go and visit those people so that you get the memoranda of those people who are in prison, because their voices also count. And that would be people like you should be given access to talk to them, because you are sound-minded people who we can go there and we try to see what is on their mind, and then we bring it on debates like this, be their voices, because one of the things that those people have been forgotten, and they use their name to raise funds and people put it in their pockets in the diaspora. So that's just what I wanted to contribute, Mr. Leo. Okay. I was also a prisoner in Konengi when I was at the university, so it's my house. If I want to go there and they arrest me, fine, no problem.
Yes. Thanks so much, Mr. Leo. It's a pleasure to have the voice from the diaspora like Paddy Asanga. I think it is good, and that is about reconciliation. You talk, you fight, you argue, you insult, and at the end of it all, we all have to get up as Anglophones. We all have to get up as Southern Cameroonians. We all have to get up as one Cameroon, but there is still an issue about one Cameroon, but we'll not talk about it today. So I think that we should look ourselves in the faces and say we are brothers and sisters. Okay.
We want to thank you all who took time off to watch the program. Eli for producing. Desmond, thank you very much. And to you, Tabi Dambe Bryant, who is supervising the work we do out here. Special greetings to the Regional Delegate for Secondary Education, Dr. Hanambwa Etonde, who is a mother watching from Boya, Southwest Regional Capital. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.